Okay, Dreamer, please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be checking out Spike's Castle Rush. This will be the beginner's team I'll be using. Joker is here again for buff removal. Spike is yet another Castle Rush where you cannot use buff duration reduction and you can only use buff removal in order to remove his very crazy crit rate and crit damage spike. No pun intended. So we have Rachel and Ace, free heroes, and Yui here for heals, and Feng Yan being the freeze immunity provider and also the main DPS for this newbie comp. Unfortunately, because Feng Yan is the only damage dealer here, so we are using his skills to kill off the first two waves for convenience. Again, I will remind everyone that Castle Rush is a mode where 3-man AoE damage dealers shine, okay, because the bosses take lesser damage from single target and 5-man AoEs. Now that we are in the Spike phase, usually Chancellor will use this skill first, Pulverize, and you can see it immediately gave Spike 5 turn buffs in crit rate and crit damage. So if you do not remove this, it will destroy your team, for sure. Okay, and make sure again, I need to say that you need to have a 6-star Joker or a 6-star Soy or a 6-star No-Ho if you are using them, because a 5-star version of them only can remove one buff, but you saw just now that the buff applied, there were 2 buffs, so only 6-star versions can remove 2 buffs. Alternatively, if you have another unit like Biscuit, which we will have showcase later on, Biscuit will also be able to remove the buffs without any condition, so I mean she was pretty much designed also with this in mind. So the strategy here is really just to always remember whenever you see Chancellor move, do the buff removal, followed by debuffing with Rachel, and then just using Feng Yan's skills to hit the boss. I understand that Ace has a buff duration reduction skill, but you cannot use that. If you want, you can also use Rachel's bottom skill in order to land the attack down on Spike so that you take less damage from him, and then your team will be able to survive better because you don't have a direct healer. You have Yui, who only does continuous healing, or rather applies a continuous healing buff on your team. Take note that you also don't really have to use Ace's top skill because the physical vulnerability that he casts is also casted by Rachel's Phoenix. So there are actually quite a number of overlapping skill effects in this team, unfortunately, but if you are a new player or you're just starting out, this will probably be your best version of the team for Spike Castle Rush. So yeah, honestly, there's really pretty much nothing to comment too much about because this is also another very straightforward Castle Rush. I find that the physical Castle Rushes are definitely more straightforward and direct and easy to do. Next up, this will be probably the best team that you can have for Spike. Also a very straightforward team, right? Lina's to buff damage, Feng Yan for freeze immunity, and also great as a sub DPS. So you have a secondary damage dealer available, and then you have Rachel here for the debuffs, Biscuit here for the passive defense down, and also for the weakness hit increase, and then Taka being your main DPS. In this case, Taka is on the crit set, okay, with all skills enhanced so that he is able to do the maximum possible amount of damage. You can also go for the damage dealt set against bosses. That will be the much preferred set for, especially for end game players. So here I use the top skill for Taka as well, okay, because you're not going to use the first skill of Taka, top skill of Taka so soon. You need the enemies, or rather you need the boss HP to be down to about 30% before that skill becomes very effective. So using Feng Yan's bottom skill to kill off the second phase, and then we're gonna proceed with Rachel's Phoenix. Take note that Chancellor will attack here, always. He will use the first skill, so always do your buff removal with Biscuit and then proceed to buff with Biscuit. After buffing with Biscuit, use Feng Yan's top skill and then Taka's bottom skill to nuke Spike all the way down to 30%, and this will actually coincide nicely with the cooldown on his top skill. But take note that we also have Lina's buff, not used yet. So if possible, you can also use Lina's buff to push the damage even further. And I'm queuing for Biscuit's top skill already because this is roughly the time Chancellor will start attacking again after a proper cycle of skills. So you can roughly gauge, if you have played this for a couple of times, you can roughly know the cooldown of the enemy as well. And once that is done, I will cycle through the buffs again, or depending on your HP, like in this case, you can choose to heal first for safety, because the last thing you need is Spike to crit one of your heroes and they just die. So once you're ready, use Phoenix, and then you can actually queue for Taka's skills again because his cooldowns are almost done. Always take note of the buffs above Taka's head, especially Biscuit's buff. Okay, because if it ran out and you casted the top skill, then it's gonna be a complete waste and you basically just misplayed. So always keep an eye on Taka's buffs above his head. If you cannot recognize Biscuit's weakness hit buff, is basically looking like a target skill, similar to the one you're seeing on screen now, which is Rachel's passive. So this is when Spike starts doing super big damage, and if you have a healing skill ready, you can just use it. Otherwise, it's really time to just go all out because you don't have much time left. Especially for Feng Yan, I think any hit he takes, he will just die, yeah, as you can see here. So yep, that's the way you can play Spike and get a really good score. The strategy is pretty straightforward. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Hope this video helped, and if it did, do give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned for more videos. Thank you so much and see you!